All right. Hey, everyone. So thanks for joining our lunch hour chat. It's just going to be me and Mike today. And I thought that because it's just the two of us, we can maybe just do, I think, similar to what we did with the React 19 stuff, a bit more of a focused session in terms of just a specific topic. Obviously, I'm scheduled to do a couple of talks on the new CSS View transition API. So I've been doing a bit of research and kind of building some proof of concepts and stuff. So yeah, it might be worth just digging into that and talking more broadly just about animation on the web and so forth. Yeah, if you have any specific questions, just leave them in the text chat, and I think then we can take it from there. We have about an hour, and yeah, we can just dive into it. So I'm probably, let me just share my screen. I am probably going to ask you a couple of questions, Mike, and then we'll probably at some point you'll be the one asking myself more questions. You can hear me all right?
Yeah,
I
perfect.
assume. Yes. Okay. Cool. Yeah, we didn't prepare anything. We're literally just going into this blind. But I think that's part of the appeal. So I think
Very
first and
stressful when a
foremost.
Friday deploy going blind.
There you go. All right. So you can't deploy, but you have to do live recordings. I don't know if you guys can deploy on Fridays. I'm not allowed to. Okay.
Only in special circumstances.
Only special circumstances. Well, it's the same with JavaScript Breakpoint. So first and foremost,
Hold on.
I don't.
On that note, why are we doing this on a Thursday? We haven't had much intro here, let alone any banter.
Oh yeah.
Firstly,
sorry.
You were saying that it's just the two of us. I mean, we should get the Barry White out because that means it's a romantic session. And secondly, why are we doing this on a Thursday and not a Friday, Skull?
Oh, geez. All right. So that's one of the things about having kids is sometimes their birthdays fall on a Friday, and you have to move stuff around. So I like it. Yeah.
You mentioned that it's your little one's birthday, but for some reason in my head, when I read the message about organizing for today, I thought it was your birthday. So I prepared to send you a message tomorrow. So I'm so glad you clarified that because otherwise you would have been wished happy birthday.
The only thing more embarrassing that happening is like literally telling everyone online in a recording that you were about to do that. Yeah, so all right, cool. So there we go. Here's some nice Barry White. I've got so much to give. Let's go. I've got so much CSS to give. All right.
All the animations.
All the animations. Yeah, and like no jokes. Like this is kind of the way like I feel about this new API. Like I have to be honest. There we go. I don't know. Like I've been, I think, still recovering a bit from kind of like how progressive web apps panned out, and how like custom elements and web components and stuff panned out, and I've been recovering a bit from that, and it's, I think in both those cases they like I think they haven't struck the balance right in terms of making it accessible for people who don't care about the internal workings and the kind of underlying like primitives of the languages, while at the same time giving you a lot of control. And I have to say, I think like, and this is why like I decided, hey, I want to do a conference talk on this subject, is because I do think with the Vue transitions one, they've really like nailed it in terms of making it super accessible and super easy to just have a basic example, while at the same time like actually just giving you like so much control. Sure, it is amazing. Yeah, I was hoping we could kind of lead more into that, but I guess like now, like we just have to dive straight into that, and I guess then we can retroactively talk a bit about CSS animation and JavaScript animation and all that more broadly. But cool. So let's
like define what the scope is.
Yes.
For people that don't know what Vue the view transition API is.
Mm.
You know, like from my perspective, CSS Houdini was a whole big thing. People were excited about it, and nothing really came of it. And it's not
Yes.
really that useful. View
Yes.
transition, at least from like my scope on the news feeds, hasn't been that
Yes.
huge news. But like in terms of Astro, it's absolutely amazing. And
Yes.
I've looked at like one article about the implementation of it. Why should people be excited about this?
Okay. A couple of things. The first thing, as mentioned, is like you can just get so much benefit from this with literally spending 1 minute just getting to grips with it. Whereas I think, once again, she spoke about Houdini, you know, like Houdini, it's like, okay, cool. Do you want to dive into Houdini? Cool. Do you have a month? You know, like, do you have a free month? And I find the same with web components and progressive web apps and all that stuff as well. You know, I'm a big fan of those things, but like, I'm under no illusion that those things, one of the reasons why web components hasn't really picked up that much, one of the reasons why progressive web apps haven't really picked up that much, is because like it is pretty, like, you have to really dig into it to even just be able to do like a basic hello world example.
Yeah, the effort to
really
reward is.
Oh yeah, like, so regardless, I just think like people just don't have the time. Like, and I think like people don't want, you know. So for me, like, I'm by nature curious, so I just dive into like all the little intricacies. But for the average person, it's, you know, the trade-off is, okay, am I going to use what's that thing to get the same effect? I think it's called React Group. What is Oh, they changed it.
The
Transition group.
Use transition group, yeah.
Yes. So effectively, this is what it replaces. Okay. So, and like, what's really cool for me is that like the actual native implementation is way simpler actually than using a library. Which I don't think has been the case with a lot of specification stuff. And so I'm super excited about that. Okay, but let's dive straight into it, and then I think we can dot down some questions that you have, and I can try my best to answer them. But let me just start by sharing a super basic example that I actually just built. So you can see my screen here, right? You can see the code pane.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, cool. I will just put a link to it in the description. So effectively, what I have here is I basically have a button. This one that has an ID of subtract. I have a span over here. Let me just zoom. Oh, is it possible to zoom? Okay, I hope you can see this. I don't know if you can increase the actual font size independently.
It's pretty legible.
Okay, cool. So effectively, so I have a button here that has an ID of subtract. I just give it an ARIA label, just out of habit, because obviously I use just the minus sign or the dash. And, you know, if you're using a screen reader or whatever, it's going to read as button dash, you know, so just to ARIA label. So this is just accessibility stuff, yeah. Like, don't mind that too much. The ID stuff is literally just for it to have a space to hook into with the JavaScript to target specific stuff, because I'm not using a library here. But you can use a library. Okay, so I have the plus, I have that button. Then I just have a span that has the value 0 in it. Okay, I have this little thing over here that, just to show you guys in Firefox, I just added, it's actually pretty easy to detect if someone, let me just open this in Firefox, whether their browser actually supports this functionality or not. So on
by using the has, or
like, all that I literally just do is I do if document. So the actual API itself is on the document. It's just a method called start view transition. So what I'm doing here with the JavaScript is I'm grabbing like subtract. I'm just grabbing all the elements and putting them in actual variables. And then after that, what I do
for the window.navigator, which is like the native share for things, and like you just check, can you access that method? And
Exactly. You do the same with like PWAs as well. I think with PWAs you do document. I think it's called register or whatever. The same with like web components as well. You can just do document. I think it's a custom. You just check if custom element or register custom element. I can't remember, but yeah, like this is the classic. This is what Modernizer also used to do behind the scenes. In most cases, it actually just checks if that thing exists. You can, if you want to do a check in. Actually, I actually just realized this is actually redundant. I can actually do it this way. Let me actually just, nothing like live coding. I can actually use the feature, the at feature. So I can probably just do at feature CSS. Let me just, yeah. I don't know if you know about this, feature queries.
I don't know about the feature queries, but I think it's the has that I've used in the past.
Yeah. So
That's
what
cool.
you can do is you can actually do a feature. You can say if it supports, and you just write like any line. This is interesting because this is a selector. Okay, I'm gonna have to have a look at how to do that.
I mean, you can use the display hidden.
Yes. But to check,
if it does support,
like,
you can.
No. So yes, no, but I don't know. So you can do, for example, let's say box shadow. You can do like box shadow, blah blah blah, and if that can execute in CSS, but I don't know how you would check because it's a pseudo selector.
Right.
So I don't know how you would check. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Maybe like if you look at this example, I might have updated it to do it. But okay, for now I'm just checking in JavaScript. So I'm just going, and then so in Firefox, if I can just open Firefox again. I'll just go to, I'm probably gonna have to, yeah. So you'll see down here, it just shows your browser does not support CSS view transitions. The example will still work just without the animation. Okay. So that's all that I do. I have this in the HTML here, and then so it still works. I can do plus, minus. Yeah. So, but in Chrome, we have this little thing going. And not only that, you can have it go backwards as well. And what's really cool about this is I kind of see CSS view transitions as kind of fitting within this more broad trend of kind of a movement to what Jen Simmons coined intrinsic web design, which is we're moving more into a space where with the CSS, and I think we started getting into this realm with CSS Grid, where you're spending more time telling CSS what you want, and CSS figures out the actual like implementation. Yeah, so I think this is, you just say what you want. You don't write the animations yourself or whatever. You express it in a more declarative manner.
as opposed to imperative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's really cool about that as well is it's the same API, and this is where it gets wild. I'll show an example now in a second. Is the exact same API can be used, because it's declarative, the same API can be used to animate between pages. That is wild. Let me actually just show that quickly. I don't know if you saw this example that I put on GitHub earlier this week.
Did not.
I think I shared it on ZI Tech. Let me just... Yes. So check this out, right? So basically, what I have here is I have, these are option A. These, you can see these are 4 different HTML pages. Okay, and here's the actual HTML. The only difference, they're exact the same page. The only difference is I've just swapped
I did
out
see this.
Yes, I just swapped out some of this, the ordering of these things. Yes. So, okay, check this out. Like up here, it's an actual page navigation. So if I go option A, okay, there's option A. If I go option D, check there. These are actual page navigations.
So how much JS is in this?
None.
That's bonkers. That's absolutely crazy.
These are page navigations.
That's so silly.
Let me show you. There's like literally, it's not even a
So
script tag anywhere. This is just CSS. And I think this is
so
what I
for
meant in. Yes, go ahead.
the quick explanation of how this is implemented.
Yes.
Is it essentially referencing IDs, and as those IDs are found on the new page?
Yes. So let me ask you this: did you do Flash? Oh no, but you're kind of newish to web development and all of that. You probably didn't do like Flash back in the day.
No, not at all.
No. Okay. So for those of you that did Flash, what we effectively now have in the web is tweening. Okay. So in Flash, we have you had this thing called tweening, which is effectively it's almost like keyframes. You have a start state and you have
I
an
was
end
going to
state.
say, like, it sounds like video editing.
Yeah. And like effectively what we have here is we have keyframes. It's just like the starting page is the from, and the new page is the to. And it just calculates like so. Okay, basically all this requires is both pages just need view, transition, navigation, auto. Just this line of CSS.
Right.
It needs to be present on both. But most websites, you have a single CSS file that all pages use. So you just put it in your CSS. Literally all you do, you just designate an element with a view transition name, and it literally just that's it. And if this thing is in a different place on the new page, it kind of like animates it to there. That's
magically.
It. Yeah.
That's so cool.
This is it. Yeah, like it. It's insane. Like, and I think this is what I meant. Like, literally, you can stop here, and if you have like a WordPress site, or you have like some type of site where you're filtering or sorting stuff, literally, what I just explained right now is enough for you to get this effect between your pages as you're sorting.
Yeah.
Okay,
so taking a look at the implementation there, just like my initial thought was that you use an ID, but I see you just assign a view transition name, and that becomes your identifier.
So it's CSS.
So that could essentially be attached to a class. Yeah.
Yes. But okay, this is the thing that really tripped me up in the beginning. There are two things. So there are so like in order to do this, so there's two things. There is view transition name. So you'll see here actually. So and then there's view transition class. Okay. So class, the view transition name is like an ID. View transition class is like a class. Okay, so I have here view transition class. Oh, I wrote it incorrectly actually. Class. So basically, everything that has the button class now gets this view transition, and this is where it gets tricky because check what happens if I remove it. Oh no, wait. No, it's actually still going to work. Okay, never mind that. Yeah. Okay. So let me try and draw it out super quickly. Unless you have any other specific questions, because I do think just
no. I was actually going to ask. Like, I'm struggling to like understand the hierarchy of this.
Yes. Yeah. It is a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky to get your head around. So like just how this works. Okay. But so, which is why I think it's such a great thing to do a talk on, because like you can just like it's super easy to demystify. I'll just find my here we go. All right, Mr. Barry. Okay, so there's two ones. There's like I think it's called a cross document and same document. So there's like two types of so obviously you have CSS view transition. And there's two types, which the one is same document and then cross document. Okay, so same document obviously is for like SPAs, those type of things. So basically when, like no page change. And you can combine them.
Or if you have an interactable element or...
Yes. So this obviously, and I actually just told... Mike, that I actually want to build a proof of concept here with this, where I use something like Astro or whatever, statically build pages, and I just create like 100 version, it's like 1,000 pages, like each with a number, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then like just have page navigation happen, and basically get this behavior, like exactly like you're seeing right here now, just by means of page. So this would be the navigation to the next page, next page, next page, navigating back. Yeah.
If I remember right,
Yes.
Astro has I think data animation ID that you can attach to things to just do this automatically, which is just like another step of making this even easier.
Let me just find that Astro record store. So that's the one I usually send.
So cool,
people.
yeah.
Astro.js record store, Astro.js. So the thing is, what Astro does, so Astro has its own basic. There's actually so many record stores called Astro. Let me see if I can find the actual example. And also, it doesn't help that store is actually a programming term as well. Jeez. Astro Record Store demo. Astro.js.
Astro Record. I've got the link. I'll send it to you. Astro Records.pages.dev.
Yes, on it. Okay, so basically here they use it, and these are actual pages. So you'll actually see that, like up there, I'm actually navigating between pages. So this is a page this is a HTML page, HTML page. So this is really cool.
Can you open up the network tab in your developer tools, because this does something that's so cool.
Yes. So I just want to
zoom in a lot on this one.
Yeah. So I just also want to mention, as you said, that they have their own little wrapper over this, and the wrapper is just for like backwards compatibility. So we can chat about browser support in a second, but obviously there are ways to. So yeah, there you go. 200.
So I'm a huge Astro fanboy. If I remember right, this does prefetching as well.
Yes. So you can.
So as you mouse over something, it already starts. Doing the work for us.
I'm curious. Let's see. Yes. Look at this. Okay. So I think this is the fallback stuff that it generates, because you'll see this is just regular. Yeah, but this is like Babel level stuff. So it's just transpiles it to work on older things. Let me just see. So they don't have any preloads, but let's see here. But you can very easily.
Sorry, when you I think it's in a as you mouse over in the JS, it actually fires off a network request.
I see. But in my example, I don't have it there. But you can very easily just in your HTML do if you want those transitions to be like seamless, because you will see. The example that I showed, where I have the page transitions, it does. The first time you do it, it's a bit somewhat chunky.
There is that loading
because it needs. So it kind of stalls until I don't know. Okay. So it's probably now cached already. So let me just do a Control-R, see if it breaks the cache. So if I do D, you'll see. Okay, and this is also another thing. It has a timeout. So if it's not able to load the page within a certain amount of time, it just cancels the animation completely. You'll see it just went to it now straight immediately. But obviously now it's cached. So now... Yeah. But let's go like B.
That's a pretty fair fallback.
Yes. And this is the thing, and I think this is why. So we can talk about like why web components, why you need to understand the mechanisms and stuff, like to be able to just do anything useful. The same with PWAs. It's because like if it doesn't work, PWA is not that much, but with web components, if you're using web components and the browser doesn't support web components, you get a broken experience. So you have to jump through a lot of hoops to just like manage that. Whereas over here, like almost always animations are just an enhancement. So like more often than not, the fallback is just it doesn't animate.
Mhm.
With the Firefox example, so everything's still 100% usable. It's
Yeah.
just a case of see, there's no animation. So that's basically the fallback.
I,
Yes.
I bring this up because we work in Preact
Mm,
on the team that I'm on,
mm,
and there's no real nice animation solution. I've
mm,
considered using Motion One, which runs off the
mm,
like the graphics accelerator web animation API.
mm,
Um,
mm,
and like that uses something say like 2 kilobytes, which we could warrant. But
mm,
rolling my own, there's not actually a lot of options for Preact.
mm,
And I kind of the effort to reward there is fairly low. But for something
mm,
like this,
mm,
um,
mm.
it adds an inconsequential amount of bundle size,
Yeah.
and yeah, like I guess giving users an experience where they don't have animation is
Yeah.
still acceptable.
Yeah.
But the benefit to reward is at least worth the 15 minutes that it might take us to
Yeah.
implement it.
So I think it's also important to understand. I think like one doesn't like. So this is MPAs. I think it's also like you only really understand how amazing this is once you start digging into it. So let's take that counter example. Okay, so let's see how we would have done this previously. Okay, so let's say we have our plus here. We have our minus here. We have our plus here. Okay, so very naive, simple implementation is you just swap out the number, which is what I'm
Mhm.
actually currently just doing. And the CSS handles the animation, so it doesn't create any new elements. So this is the magic of it. Like this, the let me slow it down also so you can see it a bit easier. Um, the magic of it is that these are pseudo elements. So it solves it by means of pseudo elements, which I think is such a great solution. Because the moment like there's accessibility and focus and whatever implications. So you'll see if I go slowly. Obviously, the one animating out and the one animating in, you don't have two versions of value.
Oh, right.
So, like, so if you were to build this yourself, you would have to have two, like, ones, one animating in, one animating out. And not only that, you would obviously, because things are moving in and out of the screen, you would lose focus. So this is such an elegant solution where,
Mhm.
like, it just uses pseudo elements. So the DOM itself doesn't change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
outside of the change that you're actually making.
well, yeah, yes. But like
Yeah.
the structure doesn't change. Yes. So because
Yeah.
like all that I'm literally doing is I'm literally going. Okay. So let me just go through the code quickly. Okay. So I get all my HTML nodes. I
Mhm.
then check if it's not supported, and then I just enable the message. Here is
Mhm.
my fallback. This is basically my fallback. Okay. So first and foremost, how it works is what you do is you do document start view transition. Okay.
Mhm.
Then you give it a callback. And it takes a snapshot of the DOM when you call this. Then it takes another
Okay.
snapshot when the callback is finished. Okay. So let's say
Right.
I have a set timeout, or set timeout will probably, I don't know. Let's say for whatever reason, there's a delay of like 1,000 milliseconds here. And then what you do is you
Mhm.
go like document body inner HTML, whatever. It's going to mess up my example now. So what
Mhm.
happens, it takes a snapshot. Look at that. It takes a snapshot, so the start. So when you call this, and then it takes another snapshot when it ends. So you just like or let's do it this way around. So when the callback starts running and when the callback ends. I might be wrong here, but I actually think you can do asynchronous JavaScript as well, like promises and stuff, which is wild. And then it literally just takes whatever you've done and it just animates once this is this ran. It actually just animates the change. So if any elements changed position or whatever, it automatically moves it. Which is what I'm. Let me maybe.
It's such an elegant solution.
It's amazing, man. And then the way to actually polyfill it is, well, not polyfill, but the fallback is literally all I do is I just have my own custom. You can probably do this by going document. So if you want to do like an actual polyfill type thing, you can probably go document. You can say if document start view transition doesn't exist, then create your own one, start view transition, and let me just see, equals whatever you call, just run it immediately. So there you go. Here is my, let's make it a single line. Here's my polyfill. There.
Yeah.
That's my polyfill. But I obviously don't like just overwriting the native like DOM methods and stuff. So what I do is I just have my own custom function that is animate, and you provide it a callback. And if start view transition doesn't exist, it just runs the callback immediately. Otherwise, it runs the callback like by means of start view transition. So here's my solution, but you can just manually set your own polyfill if you want. So what I effectively do, so I just have this update function, and update just checks. Okay, so here's where it gets a bit tricky. So one thing though is that, so I had this behavior where obviously it slides in. So here are the actual keyframes. So I created a keyframe for slide in and a keyframe for slide out. And I'll talk about this in a second. And here I just define, here's where I define my view transitions. It's actually ironically easier to do this, as mentioned, between different HTML pages. Because like you don't, no, I guess it's not necessarily easy or whatever. But if I just, let me see. So this is like all of this code here is just for my own custom animations. If I comment all of this out, I think the default animation is just crossfade. Yeah.
Okay.
You can see they're like, so it's super fast, so you barely see it, but it just crossfades.
It is visible.
Yeah, so that's the default behavior. But obviously I'm just adding, so let me actually just, well.
So that view transition old and view transition new, is that part of the API?
Yes. So
that
as mentioned, no. So let me make this really slow and I'll actually show you. So what it does is it attaches pseudo elements to the HTML. And this is also for me like part of the genius of the solution is, let's open up. I made it really slow now so we can actually see it. Okay, cool. So there we go. Let me just get this out of here. Check there. So it attaches like these pseudo elements.
Oh, what?
And then it should disappear when it's done. There we go.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So there's.
So it changes the DOM instantly, or rather, does it change the DOM instantly?
It doesn't change
the DOM after.
So it executes. Okay, this is maybe where I should start drawing, because now we're getting into the mechanics.
So before we do there, can you just show us, like, can you inspect the counter, the value for the counter, and just check, like, does that counter update when you hit the thing, or does it animate when the animation completes?
So the animation is just for the. So this should be immediate. The animation is just for the old one. So
that's so cool.
You'll see
nice.
the new one.
Epic. is instantly there.
Yeah, so this is like such a
Ah,
great progressive enhancement solution because
yeah.
literally, literally the only thing that changes is this little pseudo element up here. And
Mhm.
what I can do is I can just go view transition hide if I want to override all of my
Reduce the
stuff.
motion or
I,
something. Yeah.
yeah, I can just say because everything just happens in here. So view transition, and I can just do display none. I think. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Because everything happens in
Oh.
the pseudo element. Yeah,
Oh, right. Oh, that's
yeah.
crazy.
And I can even let's say make the background red, which means that it's going to be red while the no check the because it's actually yeah, like it's I cannot explain how
Yeah,
elegant of a solution this is. Um
that's so cool. You could
so the
hypothetically give it a display of block and a content.
yeah, you can do whatever you want, yeah. So and you can target specific animations. So
Mhm.
let me try and just explain. Okay,
So
the
the
mega, and
keyframe
once
stuff
again,
is the
yes,
same as like conventional CSS animations, right?
yes, it literally. Well, I wouldn't even go that far. It's not bound to anything. It just adds a pseudo element for you that you can target. You can do whatever you want with that. So I can go. Um, I can literally go. Okay, the one that comes in should be obviously like it makes sense to add an actual animation on that, but
Mhm.
like you can do anything. So let's just say okay, so the forward one. So the one that comes in is going to have a red border. The one that goes out is going to have a green border. So check this out. Yeah, obviously, there we go. Oops. So you're literally just targeting these pseudo elements.
So sorry, you don't have any keyframes in the CSS? I feel as though I saw keyframes
Yes.
somewhere.
Yeah, up here. But this is just for the animation. So this is for the
Yeah,
the
but
smooth
like
stuff.
that's regular CSS that most people
Yes.
are used to seeing
But
already.
like I'm
That's
in this but in the same way that you can just attach an animation to let's go, div before
right.
or whatever. Like it's literally just a pseudo
Mhm.
element. Like it makes sense that you would probably attach an animation to it, but you don't have to. You can attach
Mhm.
anything to it. Like as you mentioned, it's kind of like this. So I can put an animation on it. Um, any so when any before renders or
Mhm.
whatever, like let's do like content. Um, yeah, or in the same way you would go div like hover. Um,
Right.
so obviously this animation runs when this thing spawns. But you
Okay.
don't have to put an animation on it. Like this is without the animation.
Yeah.
So now just there you go. It takes a while to get your head around it, but it is like
Mhm.
once it makes sense, like this is what I really also like about it. It has like these. It doesn't have any. It doesn't introduce much in terms of new APIs. It
Mhm.
uses
Yeah.
existing things in CSS, and like once you understand just how it uses pseudo elements, like
Mhm.
basically there's nothing new to learn. Then it's just how you compose
Yeah.
existing CSS stuff onto it. Um, yeah. So basically,
So
so what I do,
the view
yeah,
transition name,
yeah.
where does that fit in? You mentioned that you might
Okay.
need to draw to.
Yes. All right. Okay. So let me find Mr. Barry White. So okay, here we go. All right. So let's start with a super basic example. Let's start with an example where like we have actual HTML pages that change. Okay. So
Mhm.
let's say we have 4 elements and the same here. And let's just say they are in, let's say there's one that is red um, over here. And on the new page, it's over there. Okay. So
Mhm.
so we need to enable, I think in our CSS, we need to say, I'm going to get this wrong now. I think it's Oh no, I'm gonna mess it up now. Like, let me just have a look and see in the example that I built. And Bezier curves, all that stuff work as well. Let me see, where is that? Do I still have that example of mine? Yes. Okay. So you just need view transition, navigate auto. This is the only thing that see. It's TypeScript, CSS. I see it. So it's still so like new that like even the syntax highlighting doesn't recognize it. But and so you just quickly, just as a quick like side comment. So you said like, okay, cool. Like you haven't heard that much about it, and the reason is just because it's so fresh. It literally just
Right.
dropped in Chrome very recently. If you ask ChatGPT anything about it, is like more often than not, it's just going to be completely confused.
Yeah.
Like if you read articles on it online, most of them are going to say it's still behind a flag on Chrome that you need to enable and so forth.
I mean,
so it's just really new. Yeah.
I've heard more about it within the context of Astro than I have.
Yes.
Just on
because I can see why. Because Astro has a vested interest in this becoming a thing and people using this. Because if this becomes widespread,
huge for them.
Then basically it means that an SPA from an interactivity point of view has no benefits over actual pre-generated like HTML, pre-rendered HTML. As mentioned, like I'm thinking of building a proof of concept where I have this exact counter that I showed now, and literally every number is a new page. And all that happens is like if you press it, it navigates to the new page, like the next page, previous one, and so forth. But it just animates exactly like it did it there. And you can even just do preloading to make that smooth. So when it hits a page, it preloads the next one ahead of time.
Yeah.
So obviously for Astro, like this is a big thing because like if I wanted this type of thing, let's say I wanted like the classic thing where this masonry grid thing, masonry, what's it like, CSS masonry or whatever.
Oh, masonry layout.
But the layout, but the animated one, I think it's super fuzzy, or what's the thing?
No idea.
Oh, I see Framer does it now as well. Just back when I used to do it, like so this basic thing, like, but there's like you can use it. Yeah, you can use it. See, here's one where someone uses a GSAP to do it. So, check this. So these type of things. Okay, so they're using green sock here. Basically, like you need to have an SPA. You need to dynamically update the DOM because, like, what traditionally happens is, okay, you click whatever, go to the new page, and like this get wipes. You see a white screen, and then this loads. Whereas over here now, if you specify, literally all you do is you need this in your CSS, and let's say this is a div. You just div, and I'll just do it inline, like inline style. Let's just do background red. And
what's crazy for me is, this shifts you even further towards your URL internal state.
Exactly. Yeah. But
like that's something that I like. Like it's something that I think is so important. I've seen so many issues and so many bugs come up because people are trying to be smart with the URL or track state in weird ways relative to the URL.
Yeah, or UI state specifically. Obviously, you don't want to track like someone's like access key or whatever in your URL, but UI state. So in other words, this thing is open, this thing is closed. You're filtering by that. So view state, view specific.
Spot on. Sorry, I say state very broadly, but it's one of those things. Like I remember one of the hard things about Remix was like, oh, your modals can be a URL. And like that's a pretty cool idea. You can link someone to a page with a modal open. But like my pet peeve is being on any site, copying a link to someone, and that link doesn't work, doesn't take them to the destination. Happened to me yesterday. Granted, was a Chinese supplier linking me to a Chinese website, and they were like, "Oh, here's a link to the product URL," and it was to the homepage of the site. I just think it's such a cool idea, and this just kind of puts you a little bit closer towards doing that. And then with things like the TAN-stack router.
Yes. Yeah. But you don't even need JavaScript.
Right. Yeah.
So this is the thing. This is the Astro thing. Sure. So you could do that. You can do that. But you needed like some type of thing that transpiles that URL for you into a JavaScript object at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You need to go window.location and look at that thing. Whereas here it's built into the browser. So effectively, this example I have over here, this is literally all you need. You need to just like indicate, okay, I want, if only one of the pages like has this rule, it's not going to work. Both the starting and the ending page. So I assume the reason would be just like, so you don't animate someone going to Google or going to another website or something. Both the start and the end need this. And all you do is, whether you do it inline or whatever, if anything has the view transition name, and this is unique. One thing that like I kind of was racking my brain, that kind of like is like, when I didn't 100% understand how this worked, and I was just like messing around and trying things, in classic CSS fashion, if you have two things that have the same transition name, it just aborts. It doesn't even do the animation.
I was going to ask about that.
And this is the frustrating thing about this. Like, the great thing about it is, this kind of radical, like, what would be the word, fault tolerance. So if your browser doesn't support it, whatever. But that's also the frustrating thing, because in most cases when you do something wrong, like classic CSS, let's say you like forget the dash or whatever, or you just write it as transition name or whatever, like it's just not going to do anything. It's not even going to animate. Nothing's going to happen. Like, it's just going to not do anything. So that's sometimes a bit frustrating. So I've had instances where I accidentally gave two different things the same transition name in my DOM, and then it just doesn't animate. It's just like, okay, cool, you messed up. Sorry, we're not even going to start that. Like, we're just going to do it, fall back to the default behavior. So
browser
but
basically saying get good to you.
So but basically, literally, if you have something that is like has a specific view transition name in your 1HTML, and you have something with that same exact name somewhere else, it will literally just, like, it's effectively as if you're going, it's effectively as if you're going transition name, what's it like? I think you can go like, what's it? Transition, everything. I don't know whether you can do a wildcard. I don't know if you can do. Oh, it's all. Yes, all. Yeah. Basically, this is basically what it does. If you were to express it like this, and so basically, if the element itself, if the size of the element, or the if the size changes, or the height, width, or the position. So if the size of position changes, it basically just, I think it uses like, transform, like, translate under the hood. Yeah, and I think here it just uses transform, I think scale or whatever. For stuff inside it, so let's say over here, I have two, and so even if they're in the same position, like, it would still even change, animate changes in the actual content inside it. But content, so the actual element itself, if it moves or whatever, it uses this. For the content inside it basically just does like a crossfade. So it just goes from opacity, 0 to
Mhm.
opacity, 1, which would be the default behavior in my example if I didn't write that stuff that animates it from the top and so forth. It would just crossfade it.
Okay,
So
so the
yeah,
name is your key, your identifier, what have you. What is
yeah.
the view transition class?
That is just if you want to. I actually don't know how that works. I actually don't know how that works over here
That is
between
great to hear
pages.
because you've got pretty
Yeah.
damn far without
Yes. Yeah.
needing to understand that.
No, but I do understand how it works in the SPA. It's just I haven't played around
Okay.
with it between pages. So like
Mhm.
what it does, like so it basically just like something like so you can think about so you actually target it as well. So here I target the actual elements. So here I would go like red thing or whatever. So view
Okay.
transition old red thing and view transition new red thing. Okay. So in other words, when red thing moves out, like
Mhm.
and when red thing moves in. So if you were to completely just like remove it from the DOM, it would still fire this one.
Mhm.
So you can think about these as like your entry and your exit
Okay.
animations. Or once again, it doesn't need to be animation. So if I just do this, I'm going to be like, okay, when it exits, give it a red border. When it enters the
Mhm.
DOM, give it a green. Yeah. But you can
Not
do
nicer than
yeah.
my console.logging on use effects.
Well, there you go. So basically, like classes, you can do, for example. So I think in my example, what I can do is so I do. So let me think of an example. Let's say I want to animate the buttons, but now I need to change it or whatever. Basically, the only difference is here you're targeting a specific thing. But you
Mhm.
can target classes as well. So you can go view transition, and I can go for dot example.
Oh, that's
Okay.
cool.
Yes. And let me just think. Yes. And then you can whenever. So if there are, so you can then have like if I do inline style, view transition, class example. So if either of these, so I just set the incoming and outgoing animation for either of these.
Mhm.
Yeah, I need to play around with that a bit between the pages. But
Mhm.
a good example here would be, for example, if I have your classic thing where you have like cards or whatever. So let me show an example of or a carousel. A carousel is actually not a bad. Well, a carousel would still only have one element. So basically, where that would be useful is, let's say, you have like you have a list of things, so
Mhm.
whatever, and you want to reorder it, okay? And you don't
Right.
know how many there are going to be in here, so you can give them unique names. So you can go view transition name item 1 or whatever,
Mhm.
item 2 and so forth, but you don't know how many there are going to be, and also this is a pain, like a lot of duplication.
Yeah.
So you can instead just use a class and give all of them the class. So you can actually just say let's say li, so li, and then you can just do view transition class, let's just call it like item or whatever, and then you can just target that. So then I can go what's it, it's so basically, remember, like this tripped me up in the beginning. The view
Mhm.
transitions are pseudo elements of the HTML, not the element itself. So you would
Yeah.
go view transition, let's say when, okay, so view transition old, okay, and
I
what do I
didn't
want to
nitpick, but
target?
I think it's a double colon after the HTML.
Yes, you are right, for pseudo elements instead of pseudo states.
Yes.
So then item. Remember, you target the view transition. So it's almost like a complete CSS tree
right.
by itself.
Yeah.
You don't target the actual DOM. So like, I think this is going to get wild. I think there's some really crazy plans for this, like where I think this is a really pivotal point in the web, because currently this is the only option you have, navigation auto. But my guess is
It's
like
basically
they're probably going to
pseudo DOM.
exactly that handles the in-between states. Yeah, it's insane.
Man,
so
it's such a smart solution. Like,
yeah,
it's very, very impressive.
So over here, so let's say you want to, when it's going out, it should be background red, and when it's coming in, it should be background green or whatever. And obviously now you've assigned this to all of this, so you'd probably do something like maybe, I don't know, whatever. I think if you just let me, geez, like it's going to take a while to spin
hold
up
on.
an
So
example. Yeah,
to just take a step back. Here you won't have it just fail because you're using the class and you're assigning a transition to the single class, and that class is being assigned to multiple elements.
Yes. What do you mean fail?
So you said that if you have duplicates of the view transition name, it fails silently. Exactly. So this makes life way easier. That does so much in so little code.
Yes, exactly. So you basically just say that, exactly as you said. Like, chances are,
realistically, that's 6 lines.
Yes,
that can do an astronomical amount.
Yes, mind the pun.
Like, that is hypothetically opacity, position. So cool.
Yeah. And once again, you'd previously need to do. So if I were to so what I use for this type of thing nowadays is what is it called? React Spring. Okay, I don't know if you've used React Spring, but basically this.
I like animation libraries.
Yes. So like basically, let me just find instead of like now, because we have like 3 minutes left, spending time building up that. Let me just find an example. They used to have a lot of examples.
When they updated to, I think, version 8, things changed quite drastically.
Yes. So yeah. Okay, well, you can do it with dragging as well. Let me just see if there's like a... So basically, you would be able to do this with that little contrived example I just provided now. If you just do your animations right with like moving things in and out, like basically this.
That's so cool.
Which is basically what my shuffle thing did. I think like I also want to build a basic proof of concept where you have like the dragging. Oh, why is the dragging not working? But yeah, like it's like this is still early days. So basically, here's So here, like I think I actually want to like take. So I have this basic example way back in the day where I built like a proof of concept back when Flexbox became a thing. Let me just see building a CSS only here. Kind of like, but like it kind of just reverses the stuff, and there's like no JavaScript, as you can see. This is so long ago. You can see
game changer.
I use Suit CSS, but like I actually want to add some basic animation to this, where it's just like, I wonder if you can build like.
I mean, that'll be so easy.
Like it'll just swaps them around, and like you can see them move around to the new positions and stuff. Without a single line of JavaScript. So, well,
that's super cool.
Let me give this a try. Okay, no, but because it's not new pages, I will need to use the. Okay, it's going to be a bit more tricky.
Can you not copy paste the stuff that we already had?
No, because I'm using CSS here to change the order. So I'm not changing the actual DOM. So it's actually
Oh,
not
it needs to
gonna
change in.
work.
Okay.
Unless,
interesting.
yeah, it needs to be an actual change to the DOM. Whether that is
Right.
by navigating to a new page or actually manually
Yeah.
modifying the DOM. Geez, there's
I mean,
still
that's
so
a good
much to cover
limitation to be
here.
aware of.
Yeah. So let me just see. I think I had another basic example that I built, like in that. So many things open now. But yeah, I'll share a link to
We've
this.
hit
Let
our
me
2:00,
Yes.
and I'm afraid I have a meeting that I'm going to be a smidge late for.
Yeah.
So I do have to run. It has
Yes.
been fantastic catching up.
Yes.
The next breakpoint, I will probably be outside of South Africa,
Yes.
and yeah, looking forward to that. Hopefully, we'll have some exciting things to discuss then in terms of JavaScript news.
Yes. Okay, cool. Thanks everyone for joining. This was a speed run. I still didn't get to everything. But yeah, awesome. Cheers, guys. Cheers, Mike.
Cheers.